Hi, I'm Vivian, and I want to talk today about the misconception that your child needs to have talent in order to become an artist. I had a teacher friend once tell me that her 12-year-old son told her he decided he wanted to be an artist when he grows up. And she said, "There's no way. You don't have any talent. You can't make a living off of that." And I told her, "Wow, that's kind of harsh. Why don't you give him a chance to try before even shutting it down or making a decision together that isn't the right path?" And she said, "Well, because my son isn't like your daughter and has no talent in art." And I told her, we met when my daughter was 4 years old. Do you remember that her art was just like any other 4 year old's art? It wasn't like she came out of the womb like Picasso doing $1 million paintings. How she got to where she is now is the result of us supporting her passion. So when my daughter was in preppy K and in preschool, she always gravitated to art whenever there was free choice. And early on, I noticed that she loved it. What I did is, in the beginning, I just supported her through very low commitment activities. I would look for free or low budget activities at the community center, at the library, through local businesses, or anybody who was doing something for the kids. For example, we did a $10 workshop on watercolor painting, which she loved. And then I took her to Apple to learn how to use Procreate, which, if you don't know, is a digital art program that you can do on an iPad, and it also requires an Apple Pen. When she got home, because we already had an iPad at the time, she asked me for Procreate, and it was only $9.99 and available to use on any device that you log in with an iCloud, with the same iCloud. So I signed up for that, got her that in an Apple Pen, and it turned out to be 10 plus years of a great investment. Eventually, I took her to the local art studio. They gave a class for free. She loved it. I signed her up. Every week she looked forward to it, because after every painting or art project or whatever piece that she did, she would come home with a kind of art reward, whether it was a little sketchbook or a paintbrush or paint, watercolors, charcoal, erasers. She loved it all. That just spurred her on even more, because at home she had 10 to 15 sketchbooks going on at the same time. And each sketchbook had a different purpose. One was just to draw eyes. The other one was for her to draw different kinds of princesses at the time. Another one was because she had a new story idea that she wanted to, develop characters for. There was one time where I was picking her up from school before I homeschooled her. She was 5 years old, and something happened at school where she felt inspired to want to write about it and do a children's book. She thought it would be funny. And so I said, yeah, let's do it. We came home, we did a rough draft of the story real quick, and then we did a 32-page storyboard, which ended up being just a really fun activity for us. She did it in just simple sketches with stick figures. And through the years, she's worked on it on and off over time. She's actually almost finished with the entire book now. But because we nurtured her interest and her passion, that's how it developed. I never had to nag her to practice sketching or practice her art. She was just always doing it. I would come down and she'd be on the couch already working on her art, at her desk, at the kitchen table. Sometimes in front of the TV when we're watching a movie together, she would get out her sketchbook and start sketching an idea that she had. It's much like when you take music lessons or voice lessons or any other thing that needs practice. Art needs practice. And I remember my mom used to have to nag me all the time to practice piano, but with art, I never have to mention it or do anything. On her own, my daughter just gravitates to the craft and wants to practice it and wants to develop her skill. So, if you have a child who has an interest in art, you don't have to worry about whether they're born with talent. What matters most of all is that they're curious, they're expressive, and that they want to try. Creativity isn't something that's just handed to a few people. It's a skill that grows when you're encouraged, when you practice, and when you have the freedom to explore. So as a parent, your support means everything. Applaud their effort, not just the outcome. You make space for the mess. You celebrate the doodles. You value the process as a whole. Because when a child believes they're capable of creating, they begin to see themselves as capable in other ways. So instead of asking, are they talented? I would say start asking, are they inspired?